A pale green circle from Shanghai, a gift passed down through family, and a skyward symbol steeped in ancient Chinese ritual. The guest received it from her Aunt Juanita, who lived in Shanghai from 1929 through the late 50s before settling in New York.
This was a gift from my Aunt Juanita. She went to Shanghai in 1929 to teach English at Shanghai University, and they lived in Shanghai until 1957, and they moved to New York City. And I don't know if it's something that she had in China and brought with her, or if it's something she purchased in New York City.
The object is a jade bicircular, carved and smooth as mist. Its soft celadon tone, shimmering like light through water. Its surface swirls with dragons winding through clouds and waves, their forms emerging only after careful, reverent looking.
There's a dragon right there, and you can see the head a little bit lower, and they're almost impossible to tell because they're weaving in and out among the clouds or waves. You look at it and go, what in the world is this about?
On the reverse, a cross-hatched pattern nods to burial jades from as early as 3000 B.C., when shapes like this symbolize the heavens.
Fine cross-hatch pattern that covers the entire surface. Now, that's really important because this is a reference to a type of ritual jade object that was included in burials from as early as 3000, 3400 BC.
Whoa.
Up through roughly around the Han Dynasty, which is 2nd century AD.
In ancient China, the bai represented the sky, paired with a square kong to represent the earth, a sacred pairing placed in tombs to bridge this world and the next.
It was complemented by another form called a song, spelled C-O-N-G, which is this rectangular vessel that has open ends and represented the earth. So you would include these from an ancient period of time in burials because it was the connection between our earthly existence and our heavenly existence.
But the dragons tell us this one isn't truly ancient motifs. Like these emerged much later, likely during the Qing dynasty in the 18th century. Still, it could also be a masterfully carved revival piece from the early 20th century, echoing the past while crafted in a new era. The artistry is undeniable. The fine lines, the soft polish, the floating depth of the carved jade all speak of extraordinary craftsmanship. Even with some dating uncertainty, it stands as a rare and culturally powerful object, part sculpture, part spirit. The guest imagined it might be worth a few $100s, but the truth revealed something far more astonishing. At auction, this elegant jade bai could command a conservative estimate of around,
I think a more reasonable amount would be $15,000 to $20,000.
Easy peasy. Oh, goodness. Wow.
an attic surprise, a king-sized crush, and a cardboard cutout that's rarer than a backstage pass. The guest, a lifelong Elvis fan, received the standee from friends who found it tucked away while renovating an old home.
It's called a standee. I am an avid Elvis lover.
You have your t-shirt on, I can see that.
Yes, and believe it or not, just some awesome friends of mine were cleaning a home that they bought out to renovate, and lo and behold, in the attic was Elvis.
It's a lobby display from Love Me Tender, Elvis Presley's first feature-length film, originally titled The Reno Brothers, before his hit single changed everything.
Hit single, Love Me Tender, had already sold 1 million copies, so the song was so popular at this point, they actually retitled the film. But because it was his first appearance, he actually got third billing in the film, that never happened again, obviously, because he was such a huge star.
The film's title was altered mid-release, thanks to Elvis's soaring popularity, with over 1 million copies of the song sold before the movie even premiered. Despite being the star, Elvis received third billing, something that never happened again once the world caught on to his electrifying presence. Theaters used these standees as promotional eye candy, but most were either damaged in shipping or shredded by screaming fans desperate for a souvenir. This one, though creased as expected from folding, has survived in striking condition Elvis still stares back with that unmistakable charisma. Few of these displays escape destruction, and today only 2 or 3 are known to exist in any form. It captures not just a face, but a cultural moment when movie lobbies rang with shrieks louder than the film reels themselves.
There were reports that you couldn't hear the film because the girls in the theater were screaming so loudly because he was such a heartthrob. So I would imagine that many of these were also probably torn to shreds by fans coming out of the theater who wanted a piece of Elvis to take home.
For the guest, it's more than a collectible. It's a bedside companion, a daily reminder of the king in his prime. But beyond sentiment, rarity and condition have turned this cardboard Elvis into a collector's dream. At auction, this vintage standee from Love Me Tender is valued between...
I would estimate it at least $10,000 to $15,000.
Oh my God, you made my day.
I'm glad.
And of all people with Elvis, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
A cabinet of glittering glass, hidden in plain sight, and a surprise valuation that left the guest speechless. Though we only see a portion of it today, the guest owns a larger collection tucked safely at home, lovingly curated over time. The pieces shimmer with rich colors, gilded flourishes, and exquisite craftsmanship hallmarks of the famed Moser glass tradition. Founded in the mid-19th century in Bohemia, Moser became known as the Glass of Kings for its vibrant hues and ornate hand-enameled designs. The style is unmistakable. Ruby reds, cobalt blues, and emerald greens, layered beneath gold accents and etched botanical motifs. Each piece feels like it belongs in a palace delicate, decadent, and entirely handmade, with painstaking attention to detail. Though many imitations exist, this collection shows the true quality that sets Moser apart: rich clarity, bold color, and sharp precision. Even a single piece from this maker can fetch thousands. But together, the collection becomes a symphony of glass artistry. Most items in the set fall within a value range of $4,000 to $5,000, impressive on their own. But taken as a whole, with provenance and visible quality, the collection reaches an entirely different tier of worth. It's a treasure built piece by piece, quietly, carefully, and now recognized for what it truly is. At auction, the guest's Moser collection is estimated between...
You're in a value range of $4,000 to $5,000. Oh my God. Wow.
A jazz-age muse, a quiet hospital ward, and a forgotten canvas that may be worth far more than sentiment alone. The guest inherited the painting from a psychiatrist at Johns Hopkins who once treated a legendary patient, Zelda Fitzgerald.
A painting by Zelda Fitzgerald. She painted this while she was a patient in Johns Hopkins Hospital in the 1930s. She painted this for a doctor who was the psychiatrist in charge of the Johns Hopkins Hospital. I inherited it from the doctor.
Presented is an original oil painting of nasturtiums, believed to be created by Zelda while undergoing treatment in the 1930s. Known as the Southern Belle who married F. Scott Fitzgerald, Zelda was once the radiant half of the Roaring Twenties golden couple. But as the decade faded, Zelda's struggle with mental illness led her from salons in Paris to sanatoriums in America. During these years, painting became her lifeline, an artistic therapy that revealed her deep affinity for modernist styles.
She died tragically in a fire in 1948 in a mental institution, and part of her therapy was painting. She became a very accomplished painter.
This piece, simple yet haunting, reflects not just her eye for form and color, but the emotional urgency of her later life. Though Zelda's works are exceedingly rare, this one comes with compelling documentation that ties it directly to her hand.
This rather wonderful painting of nasturtiums also is convincing in its own right as her work, but it would require consultation with some Fitzgerald scholars and experts in order to absolutely confirm the authenticity without any question.
Its condition, frame, and composition all point to a work of that period, quietly resonant, with a tragic beauty of its own. No questions of forgery cloud this canvas, but final confirmation would still require expert verification. In today's market, Its conservative value at auction is between
You should be thinking about perhaps $20,000.
Oh, that's very nice. Thank you.
a 20-year journey of quiet collecting, tender motifs, and a love story told in silver and gold. The guest began gathering these one by one, sometimes held back by cost, sometimes by rarity, but always with care.
I started collecting these about 20 years ago. I collected them one at a time. Sometimes I was limited because of finances, and other times I could only find one. Many times I bought the only one that there was.
Laid before us now is a shimmering collection of Victorian puff hearts, 38 in total, each one whispering a tale of devotion. Emerging in the late 1800s, puff hearts marked a shift from the heavy Victorian aesthetic to something more delicate and sentimental. Many are etched with floral designs or shaped like tiny padlocks, symbolizing hearts locked forever in love.
The puff hearts have little flowers on them, and some of them even are padlocks. They were locking their loved one's heart into their soul. Very romantic.
Among them sits a miniature silver Bible, quietly precious, with a tiny heart-shaped lock clasped at its side.
What is the significance of the Bible at the bottom?
I just particularly like that one. It opens. It has a tiny heart lock on it.
Oh, I see the lock on the side of the book there. That's very charming.
Each piece reflects the Victorian era's rich symbolism jewelry, not just for beauty, but for deep, emotional storytelling. The materials vary, some sterling, some gold-filled, but their value lies just as much in the rarity and romance they represent. This collection, though built modestly with purchases between $6 and $35, has grown into something far beyond its humble beginnings. The consistent theme, the completeness of the assortment, and the inclusion of unique charms like the Bible elevate its worth. In today's retail market, this heartfelt curation of puff hearts would be appraised at around...
This piece would be worth about $3,500.
I'm astounded. I'm just astounded. That's a real thrill.
A piece of steel that once walked hospital tents instead of front lines. This is the Model 1840 U.S. Medical Officer's Sword. It was worn by U.S. Army medical officers as part of their dress uniform and was not intended for combat use. The crossguard is engraved with MS, denoting medical service, while the double-edged blade bears the etching USMS for the United States Medical Service. The sword features a gilded brass hilt with intricate openwork floral designs. Introduced in 1840, this model remained regulation for medical staff throughout and beyond the Civil War. Many swords of this type accompanied surgeons on major Civil War battlefields, often seen in field hospitals. Given the historical significance and rarity of this officer's sword, it would command a retail price of
about $2,500.
Very nice.
On display is a painting that has been passed down through the guest's family from her grandfather.
My grandfather was a surgeon in Philadelphia, and one of his patients was named Fern Coppage. And I believe that this painting was something that Fern gave my grandfather in gratitude for the surgery that he performed on her. Then my parents had it for some time, and then it came to me.
The piece is signed by the artist Fern Isabel Coppage. On the lower left corner, Coppage was an American painter associated with the New Hope School of American Impressionism. As one of the few prominent female artists within the New Hope circle, her works hold particular historical significance.
She studied with Daniel Garber, who was probably the best known of them, along with Edward Redfield. She was an en plein air painter. She worked outside. And she could be seen in New Hope in the area in the back of her car with her easel, sitting doing these wonderful winter landscapes.
She often painted en plein air, braving harsh winter conditions to capture fleeting light effects. Typical of Coppage's style, this painting depicts a winter scene in Conshohocken, Pennsylvania. The perspective is simplified with almost decorative forms, emphasizing color harmony over strict realism. Her energetic brushwork brings vibrancy and movement to the composition.
It really does lead your eye in here with the road and then over this bridge and then up the hill. I've seen her using this device before. It's very charming. It's a wonderful compositional way of pulling the viewer into the painting.
This painting measures 30 by 36 inches, an unusually large format for Coppage's work. The frame has been replaced by the guest, which may slightly affect its value.
Years ago, the frame that was on it had pieces that were glued on, and many of them had broken off. And so I didn't think it was suitable to keep a damaged frame with it, and I don't know if that affected the value in any way.
Artworks by Coppage remain highly desirable, and at auction, this piece would be worth...
I'd feel very comfortable with an estimate of 120 to 180,000.
Oh my goodness!
A 19th century guide to the heavens, both a scientific tool and a work of art. This is a rare celestial globe made by E.G.W. Blunt, a well-known American instrument-making firm active in the mid-19th century. This circa 1864 model depicts the constellations and stars as seen from Earth, rendered with elegant cartography and printed using period techniques. It is mounted on a turned wooden base, with a full horizon ring and a meridian circle surrounding the globe. Celestial globes like this were used to teach astronomy, particularly in nautical education. It also reflects 19th century knowledge of the heavens, just before major advances in astrophysics reshaped our understanding of the universe. Such globes are highly sought after by collectors of scientific instruments, American globes, and maritime history. In its current condition, this celestial globe by E.G.W. Blunt would command an auction price of
fair market auction value between $6,000 to $8,000.